A very good evening and welcome to the Fourth Estate. Charles Mwangushampagi, I'm your host. And tonight, we continue the debate within the ruling party, the National Resistance Movement. And we're hoping this evening that we'll have a discussion that is broader, looking at the battlefront, who are the youth of this country. Speaking in an interview last evening on this very station, actually in this very studio, the spokesperson of the Forum for Democratic Change, Nabila Sempala Nagai, talked about the youth being the right constituency for anybody aspiring for political office to be centering their focus on. And tonight, unfortunately, we're not able to bring a youth who supports President Yoweri Museveni in the alleged disagreement between himself and his Secretary General in the NRM party and former Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi. We have two youth who have both been arrested for their support for Amama Mbabazi and for different issues. Let me introduce in the studio tonight, Omodo, NRM Youth Vice Chairperson for Northern Uganda. You're most welcome to the Fourth Estate.
Thank you and good evening, our viewers outside.
We have Bright Kasumba.
Geoffrey Kasumba.
Geoffrey Kasumba is a member of that very interesting organization, coordinator for that very interesting organization called the Unemployed Youth of the NRM. NRM Unemployed Youth.
Yes, please.
You're most welcome.
Thank
Are you
so
the
much.
NRM Unemployed Youth or NRM Poor Youth?
The NRM Poor Youth.
NRM Poor Youth.
Yeah.
And my colleague Chris Obore. Chris.
The big men are here. Why don't you want to hear from them?
No, I was introducing you.
Okay.
There's been an intense discussion at the high levels of the National Resistance Movement. The party's Central Executive Committee has held a series of meetings, failing to complete its agenda in meeting 1, postponing to meeting 2, and meeting 3. We're hearing rumors yesterday that finally it had resolved, or that the Secretary General Amama Mbabazi, who's a member of that Central Executive Committee, had decided to submit his resignation. That information is yet to be confirmed, but actually his supporters here will be able to tell us if that is the position taken. From my information, a fly on the wall says the meeting of at least 21 members who make up SEC was largely a debate between 3 people. President Yoweri Museveni, who's the chairman, Secretary General Amama Mbabazi, and the representative of the Women's League, Jacqueline Mbabazi, who's also wife to former Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi. Let me start with Omodo. You've been arrested several times, and you've been the most critical and consistent of the supporters, because some of your colleagues have kind of gone silent. Is there an actual disagreement between Yoweri Museveni and Amama Mbabazi?
I cannot say it is a disagreement, and I'm among people who say what we want to be practiced in NRM should be for the good of the party, because in future we may not be having Amama Mbabazi and Mr. Museveni, and we the young people must learn to practice internal democracy. When they are not there, we can do it well. And,
can I put my question to you again? Is there a disagreement between Yoweri Museveni and Amama Mbabazi, from your knowledge?
According to me, I think.
You think there is?
Yeah.
What is their departure point?
Amama Mbabazi is a gentleman that most of the youth, including me, want him to become the president of this country. But it is him, the chairman of the party, want to be the holy bull in the crown.
So we have been told that Amama Mbabazi has been making plans, especially through youth structures, and you yourself coming up and being named as one of those people he's been working with, preparing his presidential bid. So is Amama Mbabazi going to contest for the presidency, either in the NRM primaries or as an independent candidate?
What I must put very clear is that NRM at the moment do not have an official candidate for 2016. And
I thought the NRM caucus has decided and districts have been
and
endorsing. The last I have seen was the Uganda Pharmaceutical Society has decided to endorse President Yoweri Museveni as the sole candidate of the NRM in 2016.
It is not official. NRM caucus is not in the structure of the NRM, and the whole body that can decide for somebody to be the flag bearer or a sole candidate is a National Delegate Conference, not the NRM caucus. Their role is very different. They are actually supposed to debate what they're going to take to the floor of Parliament. And the issue of President Museveni being the sole candidate of the NRM, it will not be taken in the floor of Parliament.
It will be taken at the National Delegates Conference.
If they have that view, that suggestion, they're supposed to forward to the Delegate Conference.
And you're a member of the Delegates Conference?
Yes, I'm a member of the Delegate Conference and a member of NEC.
Mm. And so what we are seeing, what is going on, is this just a smoke screen between the two top leaders of the NRM, or is there something fundamental?
What I always tell my fellow youth, we do not hate President Museveni. We have no ill intention against him. He's the chairman of the party, even the Secretary General. It's our principle that we support them. But what we want as youth, I've always told people, always said, I am pro-Babazi. I always tell people I'm pro-internal democracy. And for internal democracy to be practiced well, there must be people who are competing.
Are you suggesting, therefore, that there is lack of internal democracy in the party you support?
I have not seen it well practiced, and I want it practiced when I'm seeing.
The people who look at you, Omodo, and think that you are a sacrificial lamb of Mama Mbabazi, or you are a pawn being played in a game between Museveni and Mama Mbabazi, there is actually no major disagreement. That's what...
I am now above 18. So any decision that I take independently. And I cannot be forced by somebody or used by somebody to do what he or she need. So I do what I feel it is right.
You are in a better position than myself and Chris, because you are a member of the party. Do you know what the resolution of the 3 days meeting of the Central Executive Committee has come up with? Because the rumor we're hearing yesterday was that a decision had been reached, or that an agreement, a kind of understanding had been reached, that Mr. Mama Mbabazi resigns his job as Secretary General of the party.
I am not in position to speak for the SEC, but what I know, he cannot resign. Why am I saying he cannot resign? I remember in the NEC, the whole NEC that the current leadership of NRM was in 2012. And when President Museveni, who is the chairman of the party, brought a proposal that the Secretary General should resign from that position because he's holding two big positions, the Prime Minister and the Secretary General. Members of the NEC said no, we cannot go by that position. And the reason was, we said the reason is not enough for us to say he should resign or leave the office. Because what they said, that he has two serious big positions, which President Museveni himself is the chairman of the party and is the president of this country. And he's not the only one. I've been telling many people, Rabaka Kadaga is the speaker of the parliament of Uganda and is also the second deputy vice chairperson. We have Brigadier Chaligonja, who is actually an ambassador and is the vice of Western. We have Ngola Sam, who is also vice for Northern Uganda and is a minister. We have Amelia Chambade, who is the Minister of Trade and is the treasurer of the party, among others. So there are actually many. If it is supposed to take place like that, then all of them should resign. At least you leave the position of the president, you remain as the chairperson, you leave the position of the speaker, you remain as the deputy vice chairperson. That was our proposal. And we advised the president that if you say he's not doing his work effectively as the Secretary General, our constitution requires that we must have 9 directors. And for now, we have only 1 director, and that is Dr. Gale Wangu. So for that office, for the secretariat to run well, we advise him to appoint, which he has not appointed.
You advise the president, the party chairman?
Yes, we advise him in the NEC. And I think our advice did not go well with him, because up to that time, we have not had, again, any NEC meeting, yet the Constitution says we should have it twice in a year, at least.
Okay. Chris, do you have a question for Modo before I turn to Kasumba?
I just wanted to know whether the duties of the Secretary General are the same as that of a minister in a party.
Which minister?
Any
Ministers?
minister. What is that? What are the responsibilities of a Secretary General?
Actually, the Secretary General position is a very powerful position that we have. And to me and many other people, if I'm to grade my respect to the position of a minister and a Secretary General, I respect the Secretary General of the
Would
party.
you grade Sam Engola's responsibility in the party to be the same level as that of a Secretary General?
The whole members of SEC.
I'm saying in terms of the duties to your party, who bears heavy duties to the party?
I have just told my brother Charles that those one who are supposed to do real work for the party are the 9 directors, if they are there. But in this case, not appointed. And the role of the member of SEC, including Sam Engola or any other person, Mike Mokula, they're supposed to supervise together with the Secretary General.
So you think the failure is bigger than just Amama Mbabazi or the Secretary General's office?
What I can say is I can blame the chairperson of the party,
Before you
Secretary
blame him, it's important because these are political actors. Tomorrow they will be form the core in the parliament or in the cabinet. But we want to know from you, what are the ideological differences between Museveni and Mama Mbabazi? Or what are the policy differences between Mama Mbabazi and Museveni that you have chosen to pursue that which Mama Mbabazi offers against that which Museveni offers?
What I want to put it very clear to you, Charles, and the viewers. Mr. Museveni has done a lot for this country.
That we know.
And what we are saying here, we need another person to come in. Even if it is not Mbabazi, anybody can come in. And we want Mr. Museveni to remain a person we shall always respect. We need a father. We need somebody who can guide.
Here, what I'm asking, what should a person that comes stand for? It's not a matter of bringing somebody. I'm saying here, there is Museveni now, there is Mbabazi. You have chosen supporting Mbabazi as opposed to Museveni. Is it just because Museveni has been there for long? Or there are certain positions that Mbabazi stands for that you think that if Museveni is still in power, Mbabazi will not implement them? What are those issues such that we begin to see logic in your support for Mbabazi?
One day I was reading a book and somebody said in management, leadership management, 10 years is enough for somebody to at least lead very well. I have seen Mbabazi with many qualities. Even the constitution that we have for NRM, he has played a very vital role in bringing that constitution. And we have read the history of this country.
My brother here, Godfrey, leads the poor youth.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I want to hear from you what policy responses Mbabazi has to his problems of being poor. Okay?
Let me tell you let me help my the position of the NRM. When you elected a flag bearer of the NRM, we use the manifesto. It should be a NRM manifesto. So if the NRM manifesto said A, B, C, D, we want you as the flag bearer, Mama Mbabazi, want this to be done, then it will be done.
What is bad with the manifesto as it is today?
Hold it. I want us to go into that discussion when we have more time.
What is wrong with the manifesto of NRM as it is today?
Chris, can we go into that discussion shortly?
Chris, I don't want you to force me into your opinion. Me, I've said I want internal democracy in the party. And everything I'm saying I am doing at the moment is to see internal democracy being practiced. And internal democracy cannot be practiced by one man.
Okay.
We can't say only one person has a vision to lead this country. That is wrong.
That's what even the just said. I wanted to hear how to pick this man out of poverty.
The constitution of the NRM, when it is well implemented, it will help.
Okay.
And it should be implemented well.
Hold it, Modo. Kasumba is also a supporter of Mama Mbabazi.
Yes.
They've been holding press conferences in, where is it, Makerere? In Makerere. Several of them with your banner as NRM Poor Youth.
Yes, please.
What is it? One, to be poor is not something to be celebrated, someone would say.
Yes.
What is it that makes you within the NRM, I saw you carrying President Museveni's manifesto for 2011-2016 as you came into the studio. What are those points of departure that Chris is asking about?
That is the NRM manifesto.
First and foremost, the NRM Poor Youth is a pressure group in NRM. We felt that one of the ways these elders can hear our views is by bringing up a pressure group in our political party. Let me tell you, in the 2011 elections, the manifesto, the theme was prosperity for all. World Bank statistics have it that an average Ugandan lives below $2 a day. Okay? Even when you say it, poverty is not to be celebrated. I and my other members, I think the ones you've seen on
we're looking for points of departure based on this manifesto developed by Amama Mbabazi, Yoweri Museveni, and all those many members. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll pick it up right from there. Because I want to come back to Chris to put the question he's been putting to Omodo to you, so that you can answer and see where those points of departure are. We'll be right back. You're still watching The Fourth Estate, and we have a section of NRM youth who say they support Secretary General Amama Mbabazi. He's also Member of Parliament for Kinkizi West constituency, and until September was Prime Minister of Uganda. Apparently, there are major disagreements between Yoweri Museveni and Amama Mbabazi. The two have known each other since the 1970s. And in 2000, Mr. Amama Mbabazi, 2000 and 2001, Mr. Mbabazi talked of a succession queue, which made many believe he believed he was in that queue and ahead of many other people. Now, developments around him in the party and in government suggests he's being knocked out of the queue. These two gentlemen believe he should be rightly in the queue. Chris, I need to come back to you. The fundamental question is, are there points of departure between Amama Mbabazi and Yoweri Museveni that should be dictating the discussion? Because I listen and speak to both camps, those who support Museveni, those who support Amama Mbabazi. I have not seen an ideological departure between the two or their supporters. And I want to ask Kasumba again, the question you put to him. What is it that you as a poor youth, together, you, Amama Mbabazi, Museveni, and all the others gave Ugandans this manifesto, the basis on which Museveni was re-elected? Prosperity for all, better service delivery, and job creation. And now, you stand here proudly and tell Ugandans, put a banner behind you and say, we are NRM poor youth, and you're celebrating poverty. And you say you still support the party that has failed to create jobs for you, and the Secretary General who hasn't helped you to create the jobs.
Have you had that point of job creation? It's in the manifesto. There are no jobs in the market. There are a lot of graduates there, but there are no jobs. If someone's father or dad did not fight in the bush war, they will not get jobs.
Are you a poor youth?
Personally, I am. And I don't celebrate. Because I have a nice shirt does not mean I'm not a poor youth. I am a poor youth.
So what does creating an organization called NRM Poor Youth and aligning it to Secretary General Amama Mbabazi help the poor youth of this country?
It's because it's a mouthpiece to all the youth whose voices were not being able to be heard.
But isn't that an indictment on your party?
No, it is
yes,
not.
You sought a mandate from Ugandans, and you were the lead singers, Modo, yourself, and the Dennis Namaras and the others, the lead singers for another term for President Museveni going into the 2011 elections.
I heard, in 2011, there was a saying, you want another rap, which was created by the youth. Of course, things happen, people depart.
Not by the youth, by the NRM youth.
By the NRM youth, by you.
Of course, you know what? Our elders saw that the majority of the people in their party is now the what? The 73% who are the youth. So they passed through, and up to now, that's what they're doing.
So why do you support Amama Mbabazi?
personally and my members in the NRM Poor Youth, we believe that in this country there is no youth policy. You are investigative journalists. You can go to Ministry of Gender and check. If we do not have a youth policy in this country, how can you tell me that jobs will be created, everything via the youth will be well? So we believe that our clique has been able to pressurize government to bring youth programs.
You're confirming that there are cliques within the NRM?
Of course they are there.
They're there.
Okay.
And I'm told that Mama Mbaba is supposed to be...
Apart from the NRM Poor Youth, we have the NRM Muslim Brotherhood, we have the NRM Unemployed Youth, you see? And all of them, when you see, their issue is one, which was in the manifesto, job creation, and jobs are not there.
I've seen that the Mama Mbaba is being forwarded to the disciplinary committee of the party because of creating cliques in the party. But let me announce that we were supposed, actually we are still expecting that we'll be joined in this discussion by Moses Balieku, who's a supporter of President Yoweri Museveni, and he's a member of parliament, to be with us in the studio. Somehow your phone went off and we have been unable to communicate with you, and you didn't tell us that you wouldn't be making it into the studio, which I think is not a very good thing. Chris, let me come back to you on this. When you watch from the outside these young men arguing that now they support Mama Mbabazi, what is it? Are we able to crack the nut and find out whether the ruling party knows the problems of this country, and especially the problems of the youth, and that these apparent disagreements between Museveni and his Secretary General, his longtime comrade, and especially the chairperson of the Women's League, Jacqueline Mbabazi, because in SEC, one of the major points of contention, Museveni was angry, particularly with Jacqueline Mbabazi. Do you see a resolution to the challenges that the youth are facing and them being addressed through the National Resistance Movement Party?
First, there are two things. Let's call them young men because they can't think youth, but these are men.
Yes.
They are not youth, these are men. Modo is an adult, a very mature adult. A Minister of Information in the Lango cultural institution can't be a child. So we are dealing with adults who are younger than the bigger group. The other thing is that politicians look at people in two ways, and I've told you this before. If you support a politician, they look at you as a tool. If you don't, they look at you as an enemy. So clearly they have chosen to be tools for Mama Mbabazi.
No.
They will be tools for Museveni.
That's not right.
And they will be enemies. For those who don't agree with the status quo, will be branded enemies.
That is not right.
And I'm seeing a problem again that our future, which is the young generation, seems to be working on a very poorly built foundation. I do support Omodomodo's right to express his political leaning, his interest, even within the NRM. That's a principle I defend. That people, there should be a contestation of ideas, and those people should listen to all ideas. And that's why progress comes. This comes to the principle of bounded rationality. That all of us, however powerful you are, Museveni, Mbabazi, they don't know everything. So the better for them to allow divergent views to come in. That's what we would be talking about, democracy. And unfortunately, I'm beginning to see the foundation of this disagreement now is based on bankruptcy. It's just based on power struggle. Now it's time for me, Mbabazi, to be a president. I can mobilize Omodo and Kasumba to talk for me. So Kasumba is not able at articulating what has gone wrong with this institution called NRM, and what does Mbabazi bring to the stable. This is called NRM. Because when we talk about employment, there are no jobs. You are supporting a man who until last month was the prime minister, key actor in the job creation. But you are now putting lack of jobs to a Museveni, clearly showing you to be supporting Mbabazi for the sake of his mission to dislodge Museveni. You would be asking the same questions to Museveni. We don't have the jobs. We represent the youth of this country, but there are no jobs. But now you're saying the lack of jobs are because of Museveni and not because of Mbabazi.
Chris, let me ask
you are betraying other youth in this country because hold on, Modo.
If
when you come from Lira,
Chris,
you don't represent NRM youth.
Yeah.
You represent the youth of northern Uganda. You ought to give them the issues as to why they are in the situation they are in. But now when you represent issues from the view of NRM power struggles, you also become a traitor of the needs of those young people.
Okay.
No,
if
for the last
your position.
Chris, if for the last 28 years or so, I'm not 28 years and above, if for the last 28 years these people did not create structures, what do you want us to see?
Now, this follow means Museveni and Mbabazi. These people, 28 years, Mbabazi and them have been in the helm. These people have not created the structures. And they have been the party leaders.
Chris.
So you as a young man
Chris.
should be asking Museveni,
Chris.
as a party chairman, how come our party has no structures?
Chris,
You are the Secretary General.
Chris, what you are saying, I personally ask him. It is
What?
on record.
Why don't you ask him, Babazi?
I have asked him.
Ask the president.
By the way, what you don't know in the party of NRM, we have been holding a lot of discussion here and there. And if I realize you I'm talking to cannot understand, I have the right to go to the next person next to you. And what is important in NRM, we are not saying NRM has failed 100%. We are saying there are certain things that has already been put in place, but we want it to move.
Yes.
And NRM is not Museveni. NRM is a mass party. People have many. So if we want some development to take place, if we have seen you are not able as a driver to take it ahead, we say no. Why am I blaming Mr. Museveni as the chairman of the party? There are other things like making the structure to be strong on the ground. We need many things. We need financial support here and there.
Yes.
And I cannot blame Mr. Mbabazi as the Secretary General for that. Because I personally, I've told you I'm a member of NEC, have attended the NEC meeting in 2012, where the chairman of the party said he's the only one responsible for the financial release. He has to sanction it. So if he has not sanctioned it, why do we have to blame Mr. Mbabazi on the ground? Now? Because all those things we are saying, all the progress we need,
Mr. Modomodo,
money must be involved.
How come that you're discovering that in 2014? When a Mama Mbabazi apparently
it is unfortunately you don't attend the NEC.
But it's not supposed to be there.
As those who were there, that Omodo was the first person who stood up and I told the chairman of the party, Mr. Museveni, that we are going wrong. We need A, B, C, D. And among things that I proposed was him to appoint the directors of the NRM Secretariat so that we are able to communicate with the Secretariat in a smooth manner. We can't have only one director in the name of Dr. Kalewang. That can handle the whole country. That's what we said. I said it there.
Do you think?
And I've not started speaking today.
How will your support from Mbabazi remedy that situation? Because you're supporting him not to be party chairman, you're supporting him to be president of the country. Those are two different positions.
One thing you must know, we don't want our party to die.
Yes.
And if you need a replacement of somebody, you must get somebody who is senior.
And the two positions distinct. The position of president and that of party chairman, because I've been listening to discussions and people fuse the two. Why does Mbabazi want to contest against the president? Mbabazi does not want to contest against the president. He wants to contest against Yoweri Museveni.
Right.
Yes,
you are right. I have been telling people, and Chris has been asking me here, is Mbabazi going to contest? Me, I said, have you watched the body language? People don't understand when he said he's not going to contest against Museveni. He was in Kanungu. You saw when they gave him the
shield,
the symbols, all those things. That for him to lead the country, he went smiling and he received. So I was happy as his supporter. I knew he's able.
I'm afraid I'm being harassed by production. They're saying we need to be taking a break. So let's take the break and then come back to this discussion in a moment. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
we're going into the last segment of this discussion, and we still don't have Moses Balieko in studio, in spite of his earlier confirmation that he will be part of this discussion. He's a supporter of President Yoweri Museveni, and the two gentlemen in the studio are supporters of Secretary General Amama Mbabazi, who until September was Prime Minister of this country, Omodo Modo and Geoffrey Kasumba, and we're discussing the youth as a battlefront in the ongoing fights within the national resistance movement. I took the microphone away before we took the break, Mr. Omodo Modo. These discussions in SEC, what will Mbabazi do if he is forced to resign his position? The other option I have had is there is a plan to suspend him from his position. The party chairman, your constitution allows him to take over the responsibility of Secretary General, and then Mr. Mbabazi will be like an ordinary member of the party, but as a suspended Secretary General, he will not be qualified to attend the National Delegates Conference
let me tell you one thing.
In Nambole.
It is not easy for him to be suspended.
Why?
For the party chairperson to take any decision. If they say the Moda has made a mistake, he's indiscipline or he has done something which is against the constitution, a person who is complaining must write to the disciplinary committee. When the disciplinary committee sits, they take their position to what? To SEC. Then, Mr. President, who is the chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
not Mr. President.
In this case, he's the chairman and he's the president.
Because you have fused the two
time.
Positions. You people in the NRM have decided to fuse the party with the state.
Confused.
I'm not saying confused.
I know the constitution of NRM, and I know Mr. Museveni I'm talking about. He's the president and he's the chairman of the party. I know what I'm talking about. So for him to take a decision, there must be step. If it was like that, he would have done it to the like of Tenkasimire, Sereko, and many things. But the things went through a process. So he cannot be forced to resign. That's one thing I believe. He cannot do it.
Are you aware of machinations within your party to have him taken through that route?
There are people who want it. They want it, but that's not how it's supposed to be done. We have to follow the party constitution. What does it say? The man was very clear. When there was a time they wanted him out in that position, but he requested the chairman of the party, who at the same time the president, who appointed him the prime minister, that you are free to remove me from the position of the what? Of the prime minister. I cannot disappoint over 9,000 delegates, members of the national delegates, who elected me into the position of the Secretary General.
And the President did that on September 18th.
Which I celebrated because it was a normal thing. It was not a surprise to me. It has given, because it is constitutional. There was no mistake in that. So, and the man is playing his role as the Secretary General.
People out there looking at Mbabazi and saying he has been dealt a bad hand. He's being mistreated by the party he helped create.
Yeah, people out are watching. And those people are watching. They will be the one to console him at appropriate time. You,
as his supporter, do you think he's being treated fairly? Or you say it's a normal thing?
I said it's a normal thing when he was fired as the prime minister. But if somebody comes and said he wants him to leave, forcefully resign from the position of the Secretary General, I say this is unfair, and I will fight that. Because the people who are supposed to tell him to resign are members of the National Delegate Conference, but not the NRM Parliamentary Caucus, which in this period of 2 years, they have been playing a role which they are not supposed to do. They are doing a role of members of NEC and the member of the Delegate Conference. Is Mr. Mbabazi preparing to run for the party flag bearer position? We, as young people of this country who love our party, we are requesting him too. Is Mr. Mbabazi preparing too? Even if he's not preparing, but the youth are calling him. And he's a person who always responds to the youth call. He will respond positively. Has he built an infrastructure for that? Is he building an infrastructure for? He doesn't need to start building now. He has been in the system. He has drafted the constitution of the NRM. He has mobilized. He has even mobilized when the time of the war. We have read a book where President Museveni went and started teaching somewhere in Tanzania. But when he said, "My brother, what is missing? If it is finance, we can mobilize together."
And that is Mr. Mbabazi speaking. You're quoting from Sowing the Mustard Seed, are you?
I have not from that only. I read a book written by Pecos Kutesa, how they crossed the Lake Victoria on board, and Mr. Mbabazi was waiting for them in is it Kenya? And was him who facilitated everything, giving them house. So it means the man is ready to do anything for the party at this time. Because at that time, when I was not yet even born, he did it. What about now? So that is a very simple task for him to carry on.
Chris, you had a few questions for this gentleman here.
In the absence of the perspective for the ordinary man, this is an NRM internal fight, which I would like to listen to them do it.
And you're enjoying it. So what do you propose for us in these internal fights?
Demand that they propose what people want. You are discussing internal.
So you're here by accident.
Yeah. But you're coming here to listen to what's happening to NRM.
Then that's why.
But if you tell me what is it for,
I am happy.
If there's something for the ordinary people,
you said you don't know anything about
Chris,
NRM, and I was disappointed in Chris when he said we are being used as tool. Chris told him he had also described that we are hurdle.
Me, I don't always like
please
to.
We need to be able to understand, Mr. Kasumba.
Who can take decisions on our own.
Mr. Kasumba, we need to be able to understand. People watch some kind of drama that's exciting the country. Almost all media has spent the last so many months. If you put it in newspaper perspective, we have written kilometers of columns
every day
about the apparent internal fights between President Museveni and Amama Mbabazi. I'd like to get it from you as his supporter.
Yes.
Has Mr. Mbabazi been building infrastructure to form a basis for which to launch a presidential bid?
Yes, I think so. Because when you look at the other side of the president and what they have been doing, for example, in the past 28 years, the president always goes outside for, in a week's time, like 3 times. Then you make a mega party to welcome him because he has chased away the prime minister. It was really comedy, and I enjoyed it.
Where there is free,
because
free food,
and
free
when you look at
and people
countries,
don't turn up the way you want.
When you look at districts that the wife has been going to, and they're restricting her movements.
Which wife? Whose wife?
Jacqueline. When she's going to Kayunga, they blocked her. When she's going to other districts. Recently, Naduli has said in Luwero that, you know what, you should not come to fundraise for a church. So they have started to chase away money for God.
Charles,
for us, we are seeing
let me go back to the question that is disappointing Chris in a way.
I have a different opinion.
Yes, sure.
At the capacity of Mr. Mama Mbabazi, who is the Secretary General of the party, I can say he doesn't need to start building the structure now. I'm repeating. Any person, any senior person in the NRM is ready to take up at any time. Because for me, I can assure you that even if people keep shouting that he's a sole candidate, even after 2016, we say he's still a sole candidate. At appropriate time, he will not be there. Now, anybody who is in a senior position is ready to take up the leadership of this country if the members of the ruling party welcome him and the entire Ugandan welcome him. He's ready. And Amama Mbabazi has the quality to do that.
I don't think you have answered Chris's question, which he asked at the beginning.
Let me answer
Chris does not have a question. He said he has come here to listen.
What are those issues that Mbabazi stands for, that Museveni doesn't stand for, on the basis of which you have decided to support one against the other?
One thing I've told you, we have said that clearly that Mr. Museveni is not a bad man. And I would not love you people to force me to say he is 100% bad. What I have been talking about, which is my position, whether I am here or outside, I will say stand for is internal democracy.
But again,
I am assuring you, if Mr. Museveni accepts that he compete with anybody who will come, be it Bukenya, be it Mbabazi, if he wins, I will support him. But what I want is internal democracy to be practiced. That is from my side.
Yes, Mr.
And if he wins fairly.
I think Mr. Chris should not be misconcepted by us. For example, when we tell you the differences between the two and what is making us stand for Mama Mbabazi and not President Museveni, let him wait for the appropriate time and the manifesto is going to be launched. It will not be paper, like people read on paper.
And as a candidate,
What is that? When is that manifesto going to be launched?
Watch this space.
Watch the space means what? We need to find answers. We need you to tell us
Charles,
what exactly is going on.
Let me help
because
you there.
when you tell us now to tell you the difference, we are preempting.
When we don't have official candidate, what is in front of us is for us to get official candidate for the NRM.
Yes.
And once we have elected the official candidate for the NRM, members of the NEC, member of the delegate conference, members of the SEC will sit down and say this is the most important thing that we want to be done. A, B, C, D. When we have the candidate, that is when we come and launch, like this manifesto. We launch it here in Serena, and in 2011 actually. When by that time we were having the official candidate for the NRM, we were having official candidates for MPs, district chairperson, and all of them were called because this manifesto will not be a one-man's manifesto. It will be for the NRM as a party. So you can't ask now.
And you have confidence. And you have confidence that when you launch that in November 2015, the face on the cover will be Mama Mbabazi, not Yoweri Museveni.
Why not? I have talked about democracy, and I'm one man who I believe and trust in my mobilization.
I thought he's one of those people who signed up to the February resolution of the caucus of the NRM in Parliament.
What took place in
Chamkwanzi?
In Chamkwanzi, first of all, was not right. As I told you earlier, that those people are not in the real structure of the NRM. They formed they're actually part of the
But he's saying he appended his
but
signature.
Yes, he appended when those people were just shouting. As the person who is very intelligent, well educated, he knew it is not legally binding. What is the basis
of your confidence, Mr. Modomodo?
It was not a legally binding document.
What is it?
What is the basis of your confidence?
Me, what I know, the chairman of the party has failed the structure of NRM, and we need somebody. I have told you.
And you think
that,
the secretary of the party hasn't failed the structure of the party?
He has not failed. Basing on what I told you, when the chairman said is the only right person should chance the release of any resources.
Okay,
because you cannot build a party without the resource.
Bring Chris into this discussion. Chris, how do you see this drama panning out?
It's very difficult for me to join a debate that is one of the NRM operatives, because I must debate NRM in relation to how it affects those who suffer the administration of NRM. But if we go into how smart so and so is, I cannot make that debate, because if I ask Omodo questions, there's no time to ask him. So the best is never here. We hear from them. Maybe we can think better on how to analyze what NRM is doing. You're talking about unemployment. You're talking about somebody being smart. In this country, why is there unemployment? Is it because Museveni is in power? Is it because the policy options there are bad?
The young man next to you said.
So let me listen to Modo.
The young man next to you said he's from the NRM Poor Youth, and he was able to tell you why they formed the group. He said they're the NRM pressure group, and he actually was telling you what they're doing and why they are doing.
Yes.
I have told you clearly that for me, I am fighting for internal democracy. And if you are directing your question, direct it on that line.
But see, Charles,
because
can you allow Chris make his point?
Before Chris,
no, hold it. Let Chris make his point.
And I cannot come here. I cannot come here to start telling you what you love to listen.
Besides, it's only this time that people have come to realize that there's NRM Poor Youth. But let me be frank with you. The NRM Poor Youth was there after 2011 elections.
But I'm asking these people, I don't know. Part of the problem in Uganda, you know, there is a country must have public capital. Do you agree?
True.
What is the public capital in a country? Mr. Modo.
Chris.
We are supposed to have bridges, this public capital. We're supposed to have schools.
Hospitals.
We're supposed to have hospitals. was supposed to have a military,
Railway
military
transport.
hardware, all of that.
Education infrastructure.
Increasingly, there is more private capital than public capital. Are you going to remove, to portray Mbabas as a man who has no private capital, or only Museveni has? How did Museveni, the question you were asking, how did Museveni accumulate the private capital he has? And how did Mbabas get the capital he has when Uganda is losing public capital?
Let me tell
These
you.
are issues that is a country. But mobilizing ourselves like a tool or an enemy doesn't help a teacher, doesn't help a youth. In northern Uganda.
Why?
If somebody buys a Benz of 600 million, that is meant for Yepul Noyam, you're a information minister, you're celebrating that against what should have gone to the youth. You're talking about unemployment.
And in this case, who has bought it?
You see the point?
That one is a vehicle for office of the prime minister. The man has been removed. He's not using the what? The vehicle is still there. Rogonda is also using the same vehicle.
But the money has gone and the youth are poor.
Chris, what I want to tell you here, I have a belief that when Babuzi come
As president.
as the president of this country, we are going to build the institution. I will be among people who will tell him, please, can you bring back term limit? That's what Uganda need. Can you
have you spoken to him about the removal of those term limits?
I have blamed all the members of Parliament.
You like democracy.
Gentlemen, our time is out.
Are you happy
Our time is out. We need to
that
get
the
out of here.
public order management bill was passed in Parliament under Babazi? Does it promote democracy?
It was not only passed under Babazi.
I'm saying,
And I'm telling you, anything that takes place
And he
in
was not the
Parliament,
only person
we have what they call
Parliament to pass it.
parliamentary corrective, and
Gentlemen,
we
our time is
know
out.
President Museveni always called these people before any bill was passed.
Gentlemen, our time
does
is out.
that law promote democracy?
It doesn't promote, and I'm against it.
Why didn't the Prime Minister oppose it?
Why
He
did
was
you
not the
raise it
only
at that
person in
time?
Parliament. There are also
Gentlemen,
other
not the
members
only
of
one.
Is
Parliament.
Museveni the only man in NRM?
Gentlemen, our time is out. We need to
He
get out
has
of
changed
here.
NRM to
Hold
be
it,
East.
Chris.
You see the point?
Hold it,
So there are no
Modo.
issues
Yes,
in
our
that.
time is
But
out.
Chris, why do you choose to come late? We wanted you to bring those things
No.
so that we can make you understand.
Our-
But you have chosen to
just
bring late
listen to
Our
because
time
you
is
don't
out.
want
We
us
need
to
to get
tell
out
you
of
the
here.
truth.
No, I'm asking you the question.
Thank you
I
very much,
have
gentlemen.
told you that we need
Chris,
the institution to be built.
That was
Gentlemen,
the
our
district
all.
was
our time
And
is
the
out.
institution cannot be built under
Our time is
our
out. We need to get
chairman
out of
because
here.
I think he's making
So
it
is
personal.
it about the chairman or is it about the institution?
Chris,
I want
Omodo
the
Modo.
institution
about
to be built,
institutions.
and for the institution to be built correctly, we need a very powerful chairman, a very powerful head of state. Not this one who calls people, the NRM MPs,
basically it's a very powerful
in
head
state
of
house
state.
and direct them.
I'm afraid- I'm
And
afraid-
direct them.
Basically,
I'm
it's a
afraid we
powerful head
can't.
of state.
Chris, I'm
Will you
afraid we
support
can't.
him?
We can't restart the show.
Yes, it's very powerful.
Yes, if it's powerful, Uganda will vote him.
Okay.
In
What
the
about you?
office.
Okay,
What about
gentlemen,
Bill.
gentlemen,
Yes.
By
gentlemen.
the way,
He has never stolen.
Gentlemen, we can't restart the fourth estate. We need to postpone
And
this
if it
discussion.
comes